Okay.
Oh, we're recording. Hi, everybody. This is David P. France, and I'm coming to you from Basel, Switzerland. And we haven't been online for a while, but let's just say that there's been a lot happening over the last couple of months. And my focus had to change a bit just to catch up to get some balance. But I'm back here, and I'm speaking with Zoi Florosz. I got to get the name right. I had to ask her. And Zoi and I spoke.
You got it right. You got it right.
Well, she's actually in Budapest. Zoi and I spoke a couple of months ago, many months ago, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
I don't want to sound too woo-woo, but as my energy started to change and I could sense that there was an opening, then I think either you contacted me or I kind of initiated, and then you were like, okay, yeah, let's do it, right?
Yes.
Zoi
But
is,
I always follow what you do, I saw that you did that dance show, the flamenco show.
yes,
And I
yes.
commented on that because that was super exciting for me. I love flamenco, and I thought it was a really, really enticing show. So I commented on it, and we picked up the conversation again.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that because there's a lot there, right? Let me reintroduce you to the audience again. So Zoi is in Budapest, Hungary, and she's here for a number of reasons. I'm going to let her explain. But she's a filmmaker. She's a singer. She really is an artist. I mean, and it would be safe to say that you can express or feel expression in a variety of ways. This is what I can sense from all of your activities on social media and so on. But what have you been up to? Oh, and before we start, you guys, we really want you to like the video and share the videos. We're gonna really make a push and get back into momentum since the summer. So if you like what you see, comment, share the videos, let people know that what we're up to, and then we'll continue. So tell us what you've been up to. I mean, I follow you on social media, so I have been watching, sort of, oh, look, as it comes up into the news feed. But what are you up to? What are you doing in Budapest at the moment?
Well, I just arrived to Budapest. I'm back to my original roots, but I was through pretty much the entire pandemic up until now in New York City. And like everyone else, I experienced the interesting activity of COVID and very, very peculiar happenings around it. It's a very, very new life experience. And I was trying to figure out how shall I react to this, all this suspension of work, suspension of original lifestyle, suspension of a lot of interaction between people. Film and a lot of my work is collaborative. So I had to figure out what am I going to do. From like middle of March, I was pretty much trapped in a very beautiful, but in a beautiful apartment in Manhattan, but I was all alone. And it was very, very peculiar experience. I was there alone for several months. And, that was the time when things got shut down very much in New York. It was a complete lockdown. And I decided that I'm gonna create something. I just have to. And as long as I can sing, I'm a singer as well. I could sing in the apartment. I could record. I had microphones. So I figured I'm gonna do short films with original soundtrack. So I basically picked songs that I liked. For instance, I picked Leonard Bernstein, Leonard Cohen, Dance Me to the End of Love. which is a very beautiful song. I love the artist and I love that nostalgic feel to the original music video as well. And since I had that nostalgic feel closed into this apartment, I was only able to go into my own memories. I was pretty much relying on my cell phone, in terms of communicating with my loved ones, or my friends, with the world. So I picked that song. I recorded it in the apartment. I had it in a studio mixed, and I created a film to that song. I created, this little story where I'm trapped in this Manhattan apartment, and I find old family pictures on the phone. And all of a sudden, that takes me back to my childhood, to the roots where I'm coming from. And it was a bittersweet experience. I was laughing, smiling, sitting, watching the pictures all day, then crying for hours, then felt empty, and then I was sad, and then I collected myself, and then I was looking at my parents' artworks, and all of a sudden got inspired and started to draw. And I kind of collected this experience and put it in a short film, and I called the film Roots. So I created that, and I did another short film honoring the Roma Holocaust. I picked a beautiful gypsy song, which is the Gypsy Hymn. And,
what is the Gypsy Hymn? There's a hymn, there's a Gypsy Hymn?
There is a hymn for the gypsies, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, and I called the film Ame a Roma. And since, a lot of people know a lot about the Holocaust, maybe a lot of people don't know so much about the gypsies' participation or sufferings in the Holocaust.
Sure.
So since in February I participated at the UN's honoring celebration of the memory of the the gypsy victims, and honoring their memory. The World Roma Federation invited me, so I had all these
things were happening.
And the beautiful pictures, the original pictures, it's just, it was heart-wrenching, and it's a group of people whose suffering is not really known. And I thought the song is gorgeous, and as a singer it's a challenge, it's a great challenge. So I recorded that song also, and I created a memorial for the Roma Holocaust, and I called this short, it's a 3-minute short, Ame a Roma. And I shot everything on cell phone. So it was easy, right? I was in the apartment. I just needed a tripod, a cell phone.
And how do you edit? How do you edit the film?
I edit it on Final Cut Pro.
Okay. So this is a whole nother language. It's a whole nother language. Like, so you really know how to use all of these different things. So a cell phone, as long as you have the footage, is it on MP3? Or what does it come out? What is
MP4 or more?
MP4, sorry.
Yeah, like some kind of a quick time format. Yeah.
I would like to see you.
That was actually awesome. The camera.
Well, look, I would like to see you edit from a cell phone. I think I have the latest. I think the 12 from work. Yeah. Beautiful photographs, beautiful video. I mean, it makes the one that I have. I don't even know the one that I have. It makes it look like, and like this iPhone 12, it's a professional. Oh, it's a professional piece of machinery. I mean, it's amazing. It is amazing. And I only, casually say, oh, let me take this picture. And I'm like, wow, look at that. Right.
Yeah.
The what do you call it? The pixels are very, very high quality, right?
High quality. Those cameras are so decent that some of the Hollywood big wigs are shooting on cell phones already. Of course, they add like particular lenses, and that's not exactly just holding the phone like this, but like shooting those big Hollywood films on a cell. but you could have some amazing, the beautiful thing about the cell phone that it's immediate. You could go as close to the subject as you need to. You don't intimidate anyone. They everyone is looking at it. Oh, it's just a cell phone. They're not gonna get embarrassed. They're not gonna start to act. It's just a cell phone, and it's very easy to move around, and the quality is by now
very,
it's
very high.
really awesome. So yeah.
So wait, let me ask you another question. When you were in a big apartment, was this the apartment that you were living in the last time that we were talking, or was this another apartment? And why were you there by yourself? It was so big.
It was the same apartment. I was in a friend of mine's house, actually.
Oh, okay.
She's the ballerina who was actually at her parents' house. When I go to New York, I don't own a New York apartment, unfortunately, or maybe now it's fortunately, I don't know. People don't own these days.
Right.
You need to be flexible. I think
Sure,
it's better.
Sure.
But I just keep, subletting, and I want to keep, they say travel light. So I want to keep my flexibility, being able to make quick decisions, so I don't weigh myself down with, heavy duty commitments.
Right.
And of course, sorry.
No. And you said, of course.
When the limitations lifted, when the lockdown was not as serious anymore in New York, I started to schedule shoots for my feature film, which is my beloved project in the past year, actually in the past 12 years, in fact, on and off. And we were fortunate, and a lot of people, interviewees, were opened to come and be exposed to a shooting situation.
Right.
We always keep the precautions. We do. I'm not crazy, and I respect other people's feelings and the safety measures. I respect all of that, and we kept it. But some people don't dare, even with those.
Yeah, I know.
Parameters. They don't do. They just say, well, let's just wait till the pandemic is over.
Right.
And we were lucky. So we had a bunch of amazing shoots continuing for the Project Mambo Kid feature.
Right. Well, explain to everybody what the Project Mambo Kid feature is about, for those people who didn't watch the last interview and haven't seen you and haven't seen me on, let people know what you've been up to with that. And I think it's fascinating. It was, but I'll let you explain.
Yeah, thank you. It's a labor of love. It's a love child, that film. I met kickbox world champion. His name is More Paz August. His fighter name is Mambo Kid. 12 years ago at Winter Film Awards, when I won an award for a short film, and he was the celebrity
presenter
who handed over the trophy. And then we had this particular conversation, and he just literally told me his story very briefly, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the story, and I felt it was so compelling. And he, as a person, was so authentic, so real, and so inspiring. I told him right then and there that this sounds like a movie. And he was just, looking back at me like, right, that's exactly what I mean. And, fast forward, we were shooting on and off, lots of fights, and I followed him all over, training. And when he was interacting with his proteges, he is actually a fantastic champion, but he also is a person who wants to give back to his community. He wants to pay some kind of a debt he has in his mind back. And he's saving kids out of gangs. He's helping troubled kids who come out of, let's say, prison, or come out of very difficult situations. He helps them through training them for free and supporting them all kinds of ways to come back to society and find a second chance to a normal, purposeful life. So I shot a lot of footage, seeing him with his proteges, and we lived through some tragedies. You know, one of his proteges, who was a very talented boxer, he actually had the chance to become pro, and he, you know, become Mo's kind of you know, stepping in his shoes. He got pushed into the train
in New York City,
in Jersey, and he died.
Oh,
he died.
wow.
So, you know, and Mo took it, you know, Mo took it such a terrible way. Like he behaved like he lost a son.
Sure.
Yeah, and he actually, you know, I shot a lot of personal footage with him, you know, viewing all his sacrifice, what he had to, you know,
because he went through a lot, right? He went through a lot. He was in trouble a lot.
Childhood. He was a gang member, and of course, you know, he was in youth house, and that's where he got exposed to boxing, and that changed his life. But of course, the journey is not easy. You know, there are the challenges and the obstacles always there. You know, it's never, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 5 steps back. I don't know. It's always a difficult journey, but you know, he made himself a world champion, and now he's also supporting his mother, who is battling terminal illness, and for long years he couldn't see his son because he left the family in Amsterdam to come back and
That's right.
have
I remember.
the kids in New York.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of drama. And I also wanted to paint a picture, you know, the backdrop in society, what is behind this whole story, politically speaking, economically speaking, socially speaking. So that's why, you know, we went to shoot, you know, with the founders of different gangs, like Chris Claudio, we just shot recently, who is one of the founders of the Latin Kings.
Wow.
He was in prison for 15 years. He was a real bad boy. So to speak. He was a serious drug lord.
Right.
You know, at some point,
sure.
Like he provided most of the drugs to entire New York State. He's a serious guy.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
You know, and in prison he went through hell.
Sure.
And he found faith. He all of a sudden through his journey saw the light, and now he's out of prison and he's working for the government, helping troubled kids, and you know, literally 24/7. That's what he's doing. So his journey is very similar to Mo's. He's a champion in his own way, you know. So basically, this film, I want to show inspiring people, champions who show that coming out of a ghetto situation, you don't necessarily have to end up shot or imprisoned.
No.
Other options, you know.
But you know what though? It's very interesting, because I think what's happening now with the lockdown, and it's as if people are living within their own prison now. Like, for example, the story of being in lockdown, literally lockdown.
Yeah.
In other words, you always thought that was going to happen to somebody else. Oh, that's going to happen to somebody else, right? And now this is coming close, or cutting close, for a lot of people. Yeah. You know, for a lot of people, and for a lot of people, it may have been the first time that they experienced something this drastic, you know, in terms of having to even be mindful, right, of, you know, the situation. Someone like him, I'm sure he's doing okay. I just have a feeling that he's, you know, kind of continuing to do what he needs to do, because he's
training people, he's helping, even these days, like particular kids, like he has his current proteges. Well, I think, in a situation like this, with there's a great chaos and a great tragedy in a way, like it's a very difficult, challenging moment. If we are able to come out of ourselves and try to reach out to others and help, instead of, I mean, we could feel sorry for ourselves because we have a lot of problems, and
Right.
that's painful. But if we stay in that feeling sorry for ourselves, it becomes a vicious circle.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so reaching out and actually trying to be empathetic and actually actively help others is helping us to process this whole
I agree 100%.
process.
But as you know, not everybody can see that that connection. So even the basis of these interviews, part of the basis of the interview was exactly doing that. I mean, I knew I was helping myself, by reaching out to people like you, because I thought, wait a minute, if people can't see me, they can't see who I am, I can at least make an effort to see other people as they are, right?
Wow.
But this is the way that I interact, or, this is the way as I say, this is the way I roll. Like for as long as I've been around, I've always been interested in people, right? And, currently I have a job which requires that I'm talking to a lot of people per day, right? Like, I mean, but it's not a high level job. But then the people look at my CV and they say, why aren't you at this high level? And no. I don't know. I guess this particular job allows me to touch more people, right? Wow. It allows me to interact with more people than I would if I had a very, in my opinion, high level job and if I was locked into.
Shielded and being kind of stashed away.
Yeah, because I think the higher you go, just like in life, like the higher up you are, the less you can see, out.
But it's always becoming more exclusive.
Right,
the higher
exactly.
You go, the more exclusivity you get.
Right, but I've always thought it was the opposite. I never thought, I thought, well, you can be not exclusive, but you can go higher by being out amongst people. It's one thing to go higher and you're in a structure, and you're in a corporate structure, or you're in the church, or you're in this. I just think the people are so important. The people, that's what motivates me. So maybe, as I was telling you earlier today, my bike got stolen. I'm really not upset about it for whatever reason. I was like, okay, my bike's gone. But I already started putting the plan in motion to continue the work of being able to touch people. I said, well, we just have to do it a different way.
I think that was an opening for you with that job. That was a great spiritual opening.
I think so too. I think so too.
Because I'm sure that, I mean, I think there is a way to look at our life events from a higher point of view, a spiritual standpoint, not only just a factual level. And I think it was a great opening for you. And even that bike thing, it's almost like a lesson, almost like I don't know, some kind of a it teaches you something. It tells you something about the times we live in.
Yes.
About loss. Yes. About recovery. Yeah. About what is important. And I immediately told you that fantastic film, Bicycle Thieves by Vittorio De Sica, that was also happening in a World War situation.
That's right.
People are really, really suffering, and people steal each other bikes because everyone is in need for a bike. So the bikes go all around, and because it's just a bike. I mean, I know you need a bike, and I think it's an important, but at the end of the day, it's just a bike.
Right, right. I'm with you. I'm with you. I think the moment that I had planned to talk to all of these people, right? Like you came in and then somebody else came in, like I literally put my situation on hold with regard to interviewing people, even interacting with people on a deep level. And I don't want to go into what happened at work that really kind of made me think, okay, but it was something very dramatic. And instead of, initially I was like, I was kind of angry about it, right? But then I thought, David, listen to what they're telling you. Listen beyond what you would have taken this as, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And because I had gone through so much in the last couple of years, I was like, kind of like, really? Okay. I was not as, just like with the bike, I was a little stunned, like, okay, but I was not, and I came home and complained a bit. But then I said, there is something to be, there is a reason that this is happening. And I need to listen. There's something that I need to do, right? Nobody else but me. And I know that I have the gift to do it. So in other words, in my opinion, I felt like, okay, Dave, you have to get a little bit higher than what you normally have been doing. It's time for you to go higher. You know that you can go higher. And when I say higher, it's general. I'm saying it in general because it hits some different points, like in terms of communication, in terms of leadership, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of living. Like, you know how you can do this. They're looking at you like, why aren't you doing it? Right?
Yeah.
Why aren't you there? And it doesn't mean that you have to be there, but you can, like by being, pressured by other people. But it does mean that you have everything that you need. You don't really need to, I felt like I didn't really need to worry as much as I used to in the past. So, okay, my bike got stuff. Okay, fine. Things didn't go well.
When we lose all the shields and something traumatic happens, so we all of a sudden got freed. Like, well, we can't lose anything else anymore.
Right.
I mean, it's not a lot else we can lose. So all of a sudden you open up and you become very raw and real and open, very connected. Like, it's very strange how we react.
Well,
so there is
I don't know. I just thought, oh, I'm going to be able to come back to the apartment, interview you, and everything's going to go smoothly. I mean, nothing went smoothly. And I said, you know what? It's literally because, and let me go back to when you said you were in that apartment by yourself. I think I have spent years in this apartment by myself.
Wow.
I've spent years in this apartment by myself. You know what I mean? I moved here.
That's a big one. In my opinion, it's a big one.
I moved here in 2013. It is now 2020.
Wow.
It has been like 7 years. I have not been in a serious relationship for 7 years. When I come home, it's me. There's nobody else, right?
Yeah.
No one. So in other words, the process that you have been going through, right? Very, very similar. And to the point where I'm like, okay, it's just going to be me. So what am I going to do?
Yes, exactly.
So what am I going to do?
I found that some kind of limitation that, I was all alone in the apartment, that forced me to look for the most important things, the openings, what I just told you. Like, I had my cell phone, and that particular cell phone was a connection to the world. So when I heard someone's voice over that phone, that was meaningful. That warmed my heart. and what I saw, the pictures on the phone became very meaningful. And all of a
Right.
sudden I was able to sink in my own thoughts, like own memories and entire stories. And because there was time,
Right.
no one
Right.
interrupted my stories in my head, so I was able to really, really be with myself, yet connect out with the world. It's very strange, but all of a sudden I understood what is really, really important: the human connections.
Yeah, this is a key. This is key. I mean, I can't tell you, like, I feel like and then I'll tell you this, and then I'm going to ask you more about, there's other films that I've seen you work on, so we want to go to those. But it's as if I'm bursting at the seam to explain to people how important connecting with others is.
Yes.
It is the utmost importance. And we can talk about all of this technology and all of science and all this, and I guess one of the things that I have come to understand is I help people, or I inspire people, however you want to call it, finding that in themselves and hopefully
Yes.
seeing it on other people, right? So, the flamenco thing, I was in the flamenco show
Yes.
with a school that I've been training with for the last 2 years, but I've been in flamenco for almost 5 years now. But I still feel like I'm not so good. I'm not as
Well,
good as
it's a long process. I
it's
mean,
a
flamenco
long process. But it's interesting because what I've seen is that when they're students, just like in any other, art, you practice, or even boxes and sport, you practice, and then there's a moment where you really take off, right? And I've
yes.
seen video of people, young people, that all of a sudden have the full embodiment of the flamenco dancer.
Yes.
And it's usually a night and day, kind of like, maybe a couple of weeks before, they're not in it, and then boom, right? So as I'm watching the video,
like certain breakthroughs.
it's a breakthrough.
Breakthroughs,
So
yes.
breakthrough. So what I used that flamenco for was literally healing and also levels of breakthrough, right?
Yes.
And the ability, like, to express myself in that way is because I know that it will happen where I will achieve a certain level. I'm clearly not there yet.
I think it's great for you, and it's a very passionate kind of
It's
dancing, and you could pour so much energy
out.
and sentiments and passion into that. Like, I think it's just gonna be great for you. It is serving you as an artist, as a human being. I think it's fantastic.
Well,
In my opinion, you chose one of the best.
but the thing is that it has a rich tradition, and it also, just the people that you meet that are doing it, it's incredible. It's incredible. So I mean, enough about that. But I mean, the reason why I brought it up is that there's some parallels, and we've talked about it before. There's some parallels between what you're doing and what I'm doing. It's manifesting in a different way, but I totally understand what's going on. I totally get it, and it's like I've asked all these people to say, hey, come do an interview again, and people are like, you have seen this as a platform of expression in ways that other people do not understand. You know what I mean? And I think this is a fantastic. Let me ask you about there's a film that I saw that you were acting in.
Yes.
What about the film that you were acting in? There was a male actor that was your counter, and it was almost like an intense. Was that a short film, long film?
It's a short film, and believe it or not, I fell into it. I would say by accident or by fate, or I was not planning it, definitely. While I was pursuing the boxing film, and we went through some hurdles last year, like one of the the boxer's opponent pulled back, so there was no fight. Then they announced we have to wait 3 months. Anyways, so it became clear to me that I had to stay longer and longer and longer in New York to pursue the film. And in the meantime, I met this wonderful Hungarian American actress director, Lili Bordan. And I don't know why, she all of a sudden reached out, and she said she wanted to offer a role for me. And I was shocked, literally, because I was, talking with her as a filmmaker. We were talking films. I was
Now,
not even.
why were you shocked? Why were you shocked? I don't understand.
I just didn't think that she would see something in me. Like, I was not made up. I was not in my whatever best. I don't know. I was not even thinking about any of that, And she saw a particular role in me. And although there were other actresses who would have been very happy to do it, and wonderful, talented people, and she wanted me. And I was like, wow, that's enticing. Like, what could that be? That could be only me. Who is that? Who is that character? It's it's a very interesting story about two people's connection that somehow never ends in a relationship. So, like, in the scope of like 20, 25, 30 years, they years ago, 20 years ago, they have a one night stand, a kind of a fling, and it's very passionate. It's a beautiful night. They connect, and there is no continuation. Some reason, just their life goes a different direction.
Yeah.
But it was a very strong connection, and they meet 20 years later in New York. And it turns out that meeting in New York is not as flashy as it sounds. Like, it sounds like the actor, the guy, comes to perform to New York, and it sounds very flashy. It's pretty cool. Yet he doesn't know where he's gonna sleep. So it's not as flashy, and it turns out that the girl who was the beautiful muse in the past, she has a very rough life, and she is living illegally in New York. She's cleaning houses, and she lost her husband, and she has a whole lot of tragedy in her life, and it's pretty rough life, and all these, the two people who went through all these tough stuff in their lives, they changed and they reconnect. And then we can see in the film if this gonna now become a relationship. They have a chance at the relationship.
Right.
And in the film, it turns out if they will continue or not. And it's I loved in that story that you had to play that really rugged stuff. And when you see time working on people, you see 20 years of cleaning houses and being illegal in America as an immigrant and all that, when you have to play this kind of raw stuff, it's an amazing challenge for an actor. It's you really have to go deep in yourself.
Well, what did you do? Well, is there anything that you did? Look, because the pictures, I don't know what you posted some of the pictures on social media, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I mean, you could see the intensity between the two characters, right? So I was like, oh, she's doing something. Of course, I'm doing all kinds of other things, right? In addition to, surfing, but of course I say, oh, she's doing stuff. And the picture, there's one, I think, close-up shot of you looking at him to the side, right?
In the subway.
Like, oh my God, this is,
You know what I loved about Lili's directing, outside of having a fantastic partner, Hungarian actor who's very famous in Hungary. Actually, he lives in Toronto right now. But Lili's directing was so beautiful because she didn't let us play tragedy, play pain. We had to be real and raw, constant. Like, she didn't let us go anywhere to the where an actor immediately would go, save themselves.
Right.
But she was asking for the real stuff. Like, she had a very keen eye for authentic, real moments. And all of a sudden I felt so safe in her hands, and I felt like, oh, so I can just be. I don't have to act. I don't have to look tense or intense or anything. I can just be, and literally just, she really guided us such a beautiful way. you know, an actor always needs a director. That's my opinion. You know, it's great to have a director, even though when you turn and go to the other side of the camera, you could direct. When you go in front of the camera, you need that. You become vulnerable.
Sure.
And you have to be vulnerable. And it was so beautiful that she was just saying few words. She was not forcing us, not, you know, any kind of, you know, she let us be.
Right.
And feel the role, feel the character, but she was keen to keep it real and kind of guiding us away from the stereotypes and you know what is a typical escape for actors. You know, that's the first place where you go because you don't
So
want to
let's say
stuff.
when you're working with somebody like that, and also the actor, do you? Well, I'll make the connection with dance, right? Because I could not see myself acting, right? And I will say, and I'll save another thing that came to me toward the end of the interview, and I'll ask you what you think of this as well. But the connection to dance is that when I start dancing with somebody who's really good, I know immediately when they're good. I know by being with them, it's gonna kind of make me grow or make me do it. I know, and not
so
everybody.
How do you know the realness? You see, that's exactly that magic. How do you know? You see, it's a particular energy, isn't it?
It's a particular energy, and I will tell you this: there was a woman, a flamenco, young woman, flamenco dancer who I saw in London just by chance. And she had her own company, and she was at the Sadler Wells Flamenco Week. She was the final act, and she was amazing. I couldn't believe it. So I started going to more flamenco shows. I started going to more classes. Next thing you know, it is in Switzerland, also in Austria. The next thing you know, someone in Switzerland was organizing a class with her.
Wow.
And it was going to be in Austria. So I booked the plane. This was in 2019. I booked the plane. I go to Austria, to Vienna. Oh, I had to go. I'm the only guy in the class, all women, but that level was very high. Now, this was higher than I had ever done before. Her energy was so, I can't even describe it. And I threw myself into it. I made the mistakes. I didn't care. She saw that I was there, you know, and she couldn't believe, like, who is this guy? Like, she went, who is this guy?
I bet she liked it.
I took a picture with her.
Inspiring.
Oh my God. Like she was amazing, right? So I've had other experiences like that, right? The people that I work with now, I feel good with. But I suspect this is the same thing when you're acting. You are trying to get in that space.
Yes.
Where there is, how do you describe it?
But there is a zone, like you get to a wavelength, you know, a certain energetic wavelength when you feel almost like plugged into the, you know, energy. You energized, you elevated. It's a heightened sensibility. You feel like in a different zone, a little bit high. You feel larger than life. You feel a little bit like, and it's a godlike feeling in a way. Like you feel like it's an out of body experience at the same time. You feel like you could fly, you could float. You feel limitless almost. Like when you get into that zone, it's so strong, and it's a very specific point.
So when you're filming this, does she stop you when you're getting into the zone, or how do you maintain that level?
Exercises. In fact, before we shot, we did preparation exercises. Like she let us improvise a lot of the lines. Like she gave us the situation, and particular keywords had to be said, but she gave us room to improvise. but at the preparation time, we had exercises like literally we had to look into each other's eyes,
Right,
like
sure.
literally for a long time, and she didn't let us stray away, and
Yeah,
no tension in the mouth, no,
right,
because you start to behave and you start to collect your face, like you
right.
start to cover your tracks,
Yes,
like,
yes,
it's so every person tries to hide. We don't want to immediately be vulnerable because we want to protect ourselves, and
sure.
she had us looking into each other's eyes. She had us improvise a couple of parts of the scenes. We played as if some emotional, some little exercises. So we didn't over rehearse it because
Hmm.
that's no point over rehearsing it. So, but we had 2 days of preparing like that, and it's a lot of eye contact.
Right,
That's
sure.
and she kept looking at us, and she said, no tension in the mouth,
Right.
relax your face, relax your shoulder, breathe, breathe, let yourself be, let your feelings come through.
Yeah,
And we felt sometimes like so long, like it felt like, oh my goodness, this is like some points becoming uncomfortable, and
sure,
but
sure.
then you have those breakthroughs, like then
Yeah.
you really looking at a person, all of a sudden you're looking at a person, like literally into
Like
someone's
this.
eye. It is incredibly powerful, and we rarely do that actually,
Right.
we
Well,
we usually
I could see from the pictures. I could look at the pictures and like, uh-oh, she's up to something. Like I already say she's doing something,
and
and
I
then I
was
went back to see what was going on. Like, I flipped through like, what's she doing now? The kind of thing, and I look at the picture like she's doing some project.
and
I think it's fantastic.
when you prepare like that, when you come from the real preparation,
Uh-huh.
then I surprised even myself that, like, when there was a particular moment in the film, I was able to, like, the crying came out of me, like,
Really?
there is
Just
no tomorrow, and it was not planned, not prepared. I wasn't even sure if I'm gonna, like, I didn't know how am I gonna react. I just let myself go with the
uh-huh.
story, and the crying, and the and I saw the whole crew was like looking at me stunned, like, oh my goodness, like,
Right,
what
right, right.
what's going, like, they
What's she
thought I'm
doing?
really crying, like, was a and I was, in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah.
because
The crew gets to see a lot, right? I mean,
yes,
that's a good job. I wouldn't say a good job, but it's if you're curious about people,
yeah,
that
yeah,
the crew you can watch without really getting involved the way that you have to get involved. Like, and so,
yeah.
you have a lot to carry. You have a lot to carry. So they watch, and when they see a movement, or if they see something different,
Yeah.
they're the first ones. Would suspect they are amongst the first to see it.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely,
They're
absolutely. And
like,
and 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 of course, they're passionate about those things. Like,
sure.
you cannot be an artist if you're not curious about people. Number one, as you
Mm-hmm.
said,
Yeah, you have to.
and as I said, because of the good preparation,
Mm-hmm.
everything was able to, or had the chance to be authentic, and I surprised myself even, and it felt great. And the good thing about acting, it's not exactly like singing or sports.
Mm-hmm.
You could put away acting even for years. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying it's a great thing to put it away as an
Right.
actor, but
Right.
it happens. It
Mm-hmm.
happened with me, like a lot of filming, a lot of other stuff. But like good wine or a good cheese,
Mm-hmm.
you mature, you change. Like, all this life experience is actually helping you. All of a sudden, you get a role, someone pushes a button on you, and amazing stuff comes out. Like, you surprise yourself,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
kind of life experience you got.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you understand so much about yourself when you have those chances. So you in acting, you don't have to constantly do acting jobs. You could
Mm-hmm.
even skip years. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You cannot do this with singing, really.
You
It's
have
because
to
it's a
constant.
muscle memory. You
Yeah.
dance you need a particular, you have to stay in shape.
Yeah,
But with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
acting, it's kind of the life experience somehow, saves you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow.
That's very interesting.
It is very interesting. I would love to see, like, then when I'll say this, then when I saw the pictures, I became very curious as to, like, what else is she gonna do? Like, that was like, what, there's more coming, there's more coming. And so tell the audience I mean, you have a number of different projects that are sort of, you're spinning the place. If you could tell us more about what you're up to, the 3 or 4 things that you have going.
Well, I did these short films, and the one night only where I was acting in.
Right,
So
right.
we sent this to different festivals.
Uh-huh.
So it's I really like festivals, not because of the awards. Of course, it's nice to have an award, but to connect with people and show your work. So we sent all these films to Sochi International Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
It was just in Cyprus. Cyprus
Mm-hmm.
International Film Festival is going
Right.
to Greece next year, and
Mm-hmm.
February, London and Monaco.
Okay.
So like we have a whole plan for festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so beautiful to. Unfortunately, we couldn't go. We really wanted to. I seriously wanted to show up in Sochi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Russian Riviera,
Sure.
but we didn't get visas, so we couldn't connect with so many people there. But in Cyprus, they had a really, luckily they were able to work out the streaming.
Right.
They have a platform, Inspired TV, and they were doing a lot every day in interviewing famous
Mm-hmm.
producers, directors, agents, whatnot, actors, um, and we had a lot of ways to connect
Mm-hmm.
together. So I
Mm-hmm.
met actually a whole bunch of really exciting
Same
people in
people, yeah.
Cyprus, and the festival stuff is going on, and we're really trying to connect with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But my main focus this year to finish the boxing film. I really want to finish it, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to show it next year in Cannes, if possible. Premiere it in Cannes, and I really would love to aim it to the Oscars. But it's a long way up to that point. I still have to work on some of the financing.
Sure.
I still have to get original music. We I give you some of the little secrets. Like we're trying to connect with Queen Latifah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because believe it or not, she's part of the story, a part of Mo's
Mm-hmm.
story. We kind of grew up together,
Yeah.
and we would love to interview her. And I don't know, maybe in the best world,
Mm-hmm.
in,
Mm-hmm.
in Dreamland, maybe she could, I don't know, help us with the music. I do know that she has a record company she produces
Sure,
art.
sure, sure. Sure, sure.
And I don't know. I mean, I like to dream big. You never know. I
Yeah,
think,
look, I'm with you all the way. I'm not saying anything about what can't happen, because I'm a
yeah.
firm believer in these kinds of things.
I think she's kind of a person. If we actually can connect with her, of course, there's a lot of people shielding her, but she's
Sure.
a superstar, and well deserved. But I think she's a down to earth person. That's what I feel. Like she's
Yeah.
so real. She feels very real to me, like real down to earth person. I think she would be game. I just have that. I have to follow my intuition. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, look,
I
look.
have to trust it.
Look,
And
I think it's refreshing. I think in these days where, people they really are worried, they're scared, and there's a lot of fear. It's
yeah,
always great to talk to people who, despite what's happening, they still are like, well, I'm going to continue to do what I need to do. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
who wants to be around negative or fear, or, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And
But
maybe,
tell
yes,
you the truth, I don't say I never am worried or never
I'm sure.
fearful.
Look, yeah, of course.
I do have my hours.
Right.
But the thing is, I recognize that I somehow have to work through and overcome it. Like I battle it every single day.
Sure.
Seriously, I battle my fears, I battle my demons. But I think that's the only way. I agree
There's
with
no
you.
other way. There's no other way.
Like just
What else are you
go
going to do?
forward.
What
Yeah.
else are you going to do? Like you can't sink and, just, wither away. You have to continue. I will, what was the last thing? Oh, this is what I was going to tell you. Now, I'm not a singer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a singer. However, with regard to the flamenco singing style of singing,
Yeah.
I revealed to my younger sister, I said, I think I know how to sing that. I think I know how to do that.
Mhm. Look at
And she
that.
said, really? I said, I think I know. Now I don't want to get laughed at. Like, so now I'm at a point where like,
Oh,
what
absolutely.
happened when I was younger, I sang in front of one of my family members and they were like, their reaction was like, oh, don't ever sing again, So,
Oh,
so
that's terrible. Who can say that? This is not fair.
singing is a very powerful thing, right? So
It is, yeah.
I think when people can do it, and I'll mention one other thing as well that has been on my mind. But when I listen to the singing and it sounds like Arabic, it's really a
Yes.
mix of Arabic and Spanish,
Yes.
right? It's a
Yes.
mix.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, the way they're singing it, I'm like, it's almost as if they can't, like in America, people would say they can't sing, you know what I mean? Because the
Right.
way of expression is so different. It's not like, it's not like rhythm and blues or anything. It's its own thing,
Things are
right?
allowed that are not allowed in classical or in particular other forms. Not just allowed, but almost needed.
Yeah.
Like
No,
so
yeah,
that the
you
voice
can't
is
do,
scratchy. Like you
yeah,
could
you
sing
have
a
to have scratchy,
scratchy
but
voice,
yeah,
or
exactly.
you
Right.
could
So,
sigh. You
right.
could,
But if it's not, then you're not. Right. So I said, Dave, I think you can do it. So I literally have been researching who I could be taught just
yes,
the basics, So that's
yeah.
on the plate. But I
Oh my
think,
God, that's super exciting because I think that's it's like a revelation. Like I think it's so powerful. I think singing is very healthy. Like I
yeah,
would literally recommend it to every
and
person
everyone,
because it's vibration. I think we discussed that already. Like we talked about how healthy singing is. It's
yeah,
vibration, and
uh-huh.
you are the instrument. It's very. It goes through you. Like
Hmm.
you vibe when you
Yeah,
sing.
yeah.
Especially with the flamenco, it's that tremolo. It's
It's
so
that, right.
it's just
And
different.
the way that, let's
You
put it
could
this
tell
way,
stories.
what, say
You could
what?
tell you could tell your stories through that. Like
That's
you
what
could
they do.
express so much of your feelings.
Right.
I'm sure. You
Well,
know.
they brought in musicians, the and singers like the school in Zurich. They have access to all these people. So I'm like, oh my God, like I'm with people who really know how to do this. This is not
Yeah,
play. This is the
that's
real thing.
fantastic.
This
Mhm.
is the real thing. And last week they brought somebody in, and I did how do you call it? Sevillanas, and like on different styles.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. And then the other thing I want to recommend to you, and I'm recommending to it almost everybody,
Hmm.
but I think specifically, I happen to uh, I haven't started reading it yet, but the book from Mariah Carey
Hmm.
about how she came up as an artist, right? It's called The Meaning of Mariah
Okay.
Carey.
So she
And
wrote it,
she
an
wrote it with a
autobiography.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I've been watching some of the interviews on YouTube. I would suggest anyone that's a serious artist to listen to what happened with her.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
it's incredible. It's incredible. It's like, I feel like, look, I'm not, she and I are not, I'm not Mariah Carey, right?
Right.
She is not me. But there are
Hmm.
certain things in that story that resonate for
Hmm.
me because I knew how to do certain things that other people could not do.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So I think that is the thing. I knew and I've known how to do things that other people couldn't do. And some of that I shared with people, and a lot of it I didn't.
Oh.
Now she decided to share it with everyone.
Wow.
And so she went through a lot.
Wow.
She went through a lot.
I would not know that. I mean, would not,
You wouldn't have imagined it, right?
that, but I know that she's a fantastic singer. I
She's
mean,
a fantastic singer.
It's coming from somewhere. It's coming from somewhere.
It's coming from somewhere, right? But how she managed to present herself and not really, like for example, when you see somebody like a Patti LaBelle, right? When you see these greats or Whitney Houston, you can see the pain in these women coming out.
Absolutely.
With Mariah Carey, it was sort of light. It was not, you know, she was able to mask, not, I mean, she would say the lyrics are there, but her persona masked, in my opinion, masked a lot of what she went through. So then when she revealed it in the book or in the interviews, you're like, whoa, you know, there's a big.
But, you know, I do say that the voice is the mirror of the soul. You know, they used to say eyes are mirror of the soul, but I, you know, kind of change it to, or change it up to the voice is the mirror of the soul. Like, you know, when you hear a voice, I mean, even though she's lighter or doesn't show so much, I don't know, the obvious struggle, but the voice is there. You know, when you literally listen to that voice, and that it's a vibration that you sense something, and you sense a beauty, you sense there is something, you know, something that catches you, no matter what, or no, you don't know why, you know.
I said, look, and this is where you and I, like, you understand this. The photo from the book cover probably did more for me in terms of wanting to read the book than probably her music. The photo for me was the embodiment of the story. Now, I didn't know that just by looking. I didn't say the embodiment, you know, it didn't come out of my head that way. I just saw the photo and I said, okay, this is intriguing.
Wow.
This is intriguing. I need to take a look at this. I started doing the interviews and also the other thing is the fact that she was a mixed race. She's a mixed race person.
Yes, she is. Yes.
So this is full of drama and story and and so I recommend that to anyone, serious artist.
I will.
You gotta just go on YouTube and take a look, and you'd say like, wow, because her presentation was not that story, right? The image.
It's not that obvious.
It's not that obvious. No. So when you start hearing her talk, you're like, okay. And you know, I try to stay in this zone where I'm inspired by. Let me ask you before, I'm gonna have to jump off, but what is your favorite song? Well, I won't ask you your favorite song. Like the songs that come to mind when you say, okay, I like singing this, or this is, you know, this makes me feel, or, you know, what types of songs, what types of music do you gravitate to?
Well, I mean, I you know, from childhood, I love to listen to flamenco-ish or Latin type of music, or Latin American. Like, I always felt that some kind of I don't know, high energy and very, I don't know, just I love the musicality. I always felt passionate about it. But of course, you know, when I studied later classical, I learned how beautiful it is to sing a Handel or Schumann, or, you know, some of the classical songs. But I love to go back to those roots, like the Greek folk songs, or Mikis Theodorakis songs, or the flamenco, or the Latin songs, or even that kind of the Leonard Cohen song was similar, kind of, you almost like you mix it with your speaking voice, like you have this ruggedness, and I thought it's always exciting to sing something like that. But because I studied classical, you know, it took me years to get used to the beauty of the heights and those particular classical turns and the typical melodies. But then now I feel high when I sing, you
Mhm.
know, like a Puccini aria, or you know, it's literally a high.
So
um
we gotta hear. I'm not gonna put you on the spot and ask you to sing, but we gotta. I'm very curious about this. I'm very curious
okay.
about it. I'm from Baltimore. I'm originally from Baltimore. I'm like, what? Why am I gravitating to all of this? You know. Now, my
Well, I
background.
think they have the same root. I think you onto something.
I
You
think I
onto
am too.
something, because they do have. I think they do have
I
the
think
same root, like
I
a
think so.
gospel or a beautiful spiritual or some blues. The roots are
They are the
similar
same. I
to
look.
the flamenco or the Greek songs.
You
They
look.
have,
Look. You.
yeah,
I told somebody, a colleague of mine from college, say, look, it's all the same. Like I can sense, like I
yes,
can jump from one to the next.
yes,
So let's
yes,
say, and also I learned that my background is, when you go further back, it's from Nigeria or the west coast of Africa, and also from Europe, from the UK, and some other
uh-huh,
stuff in between, right? So, but the direct line is really a clash of those two groups of people, right?
right, right,
But I can relate to African rhythms and extensions of African rhythms. So it doesn't
yes,
have to be, you know, the exact music from the west coast of Africa. However,
right,
when you listen to flamenco, you hear those drums. There are drums there, right? They're
yes,
done in a very different way, but there is a bridge to Africa. So what was interesting is that when I was in Spain and I was taking a course, in the middle of the day, I think it was a weekend, the drums started going, right? So I said to myself, wow, like this is like, yeah, we're not in Africa, but we're in Spain. We're not in Africa, but this is very close. And the woman that I
absolutely.
stayed with, let me tell you, the woman I stayed with was a mixed race woman, right?
Okay,
So she was an older woman. She had children, very, very fair, very, very fair skin.
right,
I knew that she was part black. I knew she was, but she was very, very fair, and her children did not look black, or her grandchildren.
okay, uh-huh.
So I stayed in the back room, and she had a picture of all of her children, her grandchildren, on a wall. And then she had this black baby doll sitting right in the middle of the in the middle of on the table, on
Wow,
the dresser. And I
that's
said, hmm.
interesting.
So she asked me, because she sees me coming and going and coming and going. Like she's like, who is this guy? I said, I'm going to the school. I got the place because the school said, oh, we'll match you with her. So then
Mm-hmm.
she asked me in Spanish, and of course I'm speaking Spanish. You asked me now, I couldn't do it. I said, she goes, how are you? Like, she wanted to know how I was getting along in the world. Like, how was I doing okay? Was I able to move through the
Mm-hmm.
world, or how was I able to do this? And partly it was because she's looking at me as a black person, thinking, okay, where's he from? He's in here. He's staying with me. He's doing flamenco. She thought I was a musician first. I'm like, no, I'm dancing. She's like, really? So she
It's
wants to
kind
know,
of
like, are
the
you?
same.
Say what?
It's kind of the same.
Yeah,
Musician,
she's.
dancer. It's in a
It's the
way.
same. It's the same.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
she was curious. I was curious about her.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, even though I'm in Spain, there's
yeah.
still that connection. There's still that connection. And I think, yeah, it's throughout
I
music.
think that the roots are all the way back, the same,
Yes.
literally, like
Yeah.
coming from the gut, coming from the the
Yeah.
breathing, the diaphragm, we supporting that particular sound. We
Yeah.
have the same instrument. It's not so many ways we can give sound.
Right.
Like
Right.
there is the most authentic, the organic origin. Well, the rhythm is the heartbeat,
Right.
right? Everyone has a heartbeat. Heartbeat is life.
Right.
Breathing is life.
Right.
Moving is life, like the
Right.
basic parameters of life. And there is a particular organic original way of giving sound,
That's
which
right.
is normally not the classical,
No,
head voice, high
no,
pitch.
right.
Typically, that is close to speaking, and it, the entire chest is vibrating, so
Right.
has this kind of belty sound.
Yeah.
And I think they and because we have the same heartbeat, same sense of rhythm, that's why they are all connected, because they are just variations but comes from the human being, we just uh,
Well,
that's
it
why we can relatively easily connect
well,
with
it's a
other cultures, you know.
it's a fantastic thing when you feel that
Yes.
as well, that connection. I mean, I didn't know this lady, you know what I mean? Like, and because of that common, and even there's a woman in Venezuela who I'm like best friend. She's the person cleaning, she, long story, but I mean, I'm connecting with this lady, you know what I mean? Because there's common,
Yeah.
and what I like and what I want to explore is different ways to move into that space or to bridge that space, right? To be the bridge. So in flamenco, I really, although, you saw that video, there's so much more that I didn't do. Do you get what I mean? Like that I know that I can do,
Yeah.
right? To make that bridge very, very, very strong. So
Yeah.
what and you know this, when you go into rehearsal, there's a level of commitment
Yeah.
that has to go up higher. So, I kind of know why I lost my bike. I kind of know why, what happened at work, because it's really time, in my opinion, to make this ascent, this spiritual ascent. Now I've been ascending for a while, but it has always been like, okay, like, as long as it doesn't go
You
too
have to go
high.
all the way. You have to go all the
I
way.
have to go all the
All
way.
the way down.
I know I have to go
Come
all the
up.
way. And that is probably more concerning to me than the COVID. You know what I mean? I'll make it. I will make it. But because like people are like, oh, the COVID. I'm like, I got to do more. Okay, how
Yeah.
am I going to do it? And
I
it's
think
always good.
it's just the fears, like
Yeah.
once you understand that these are just the gates of the fears, fear gates, and then you're
Mm,
gonna get through, because there is always hope. There is always, sometimes you even find a much nicer world on the other side, like you discover, like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I went through it, because I would have missed all this beautiful stuff if i
well,
if I was scared, you
yes.
know.
But you've experienced it several times over yourself. I mean, I already know just based on like kind of output um, and what I see. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna belabor this. Is there anything else that you would like to add before I let you
I just
go?
wanted to say, that I found some, I picked some icons for myself, some nice examples that I can follow. I watched a lot of Netflix, and I picked two wonderful artists. I want to mention them because they do inspire me. One of
Mhm,
them is Liz Garbus. She started out as a documentary filmmaker. She became a narrative film director. She got
mhm,
an Oscar. She just recently did Lost Girls. It's a real
mhm,
story based on
mhm.
real events, when some call girls got murdered, and their murder was absolutely not taken seriously because
I'm
they were
sure.
just call girls.
Call girls.
It's a
Yeah.
real story, and she did an amazing job. It was beautiful, touching film, and I saw her journey as a director, how she
Mhm.
started out with documentaries, and now she is directing big films, and of course speaking real stories, and she got an Oscar. But it's not about the Oscar, it's about the possibility to make films. And the other person who is also inspiring me greatly, Ava DuVernay.
Sure.
uh, I followed her work for a while
Hmm.
now. I saw
Hmm.
Selma, and I just saw recently, about Central Park 5,
Hmm.
When They See Us. and I thought that she developed such a personal voice,
Mm-hmm.
personal voice as a film director, and I am learning from her as well,
Yeah.
how much care she puts in, how she deciphers the story, how much research she does. And of course, she started out as a documentary filmmaker,
Right.
and we know where she is right now. And I'm happy that I'm able to pick some of these idols for myself and inspirational people. So I learned from their journey, and just wanted to put this out, that I think it's great to surround ourselves with some artists who are in front of us, and
It's the best thing. To me, it's the best thing. It's the best thing. And probably, and maybe when I went to college and I realized that most people weren't doing that, they were not thinking like that. I think artists are great. I just do. I just do. Always have thought it, always will think it. It is a way of life. It's a way of thinking. I wish that I can impart what I know to people. I'm trying to do it through this format. There's even more that I have learned just by being by myself, as we were talking about before,
yes,
as an artist,
yes,
because
mhm,
it forced me to confront some things
yes.
that I would not have confronted,
You know,
without that.
we learn about ourselves in the reflection in others. So that's what you're doing, and that's how
I
you
guess
learn
that's what
about
I'm doing.
yourself. Yes,
Hey, yeah. Well, look, it's funny because even when I'm at work, I'm there. It's not like I'm interviewing them. I'm not interviewing them, but
yes,
it comes away like the same way that I am interviewing you,
yes.
right? So,
Because you're
there I'm.
curious, you want to hear about you empathetic, and you put yourself in their shoes, and you
I
want to
can
know
do it.
with
I can do it.
honesty.
I can do it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's
and I just
always
can't help it.
intriguing.
Say what? What was you saying? Where this last
I
thing?
think that's what intriguing in an interview or in a conversation.
Uh-huh.
If the camera is there, if the camera is not there, that's always what drives the real curiosity, the real honesty.
Yeah. When you're with another person, and this, right? You're with another person and they do something or they say something, right?
Hmm.
And you don't, part of it, you're judging it, part of it, you're critiquing. I wouldn't even say criticizing, critiquing it. That's something
Okay.
different. You're critiquing it. You're saying, well, I can't believe they said that. Or that's a really interesting thing that person did. Let's see what happens next. I mean, even if they are directing their animosity toward me. You know what I'm thinking?
Right.
Well,
Right.
why did I say that? Well, let's see what happens next. See what they say next. I mean, and sometimes God's the honest truth. That is the thing that's driving me. Versus,
Yeah.
like, Dave, you're there to get a job. You're there to get a job done. You're not there to interview people, right? But it's this ability to see beyond
Yes.
the
Yes.
task that you
Yes.
have to do. It
Oh, of
requires
course.
everybody working together. It requires really you have to open up so that people kind of know what to expect from you, right? And how they know
Yes.
your style. And once these things become very, very clear, even when they're clear, something comes from the side, boom, that you've never seen before.
There's
So
always
in my
something
in
you
my
can
mind,
anticipate. Mm-hmm.
the best training, so I anticipate what I believe. Part of what the acting thing is, and I've never done it like you're doing it, or you've done it, but it's not only what happens with yourself, but also what you've seen other people go through and trying to
Absolutely.
pull that in,
Yes.
right?
That's
Trying
what
to
it is.
pull that in.
Mhm.
So part of what the flamenco thing has to be for me is, okay, David, how are you going to show people this pain, not
Yeah.
just pain, but joy at the same time, all of the things
Yes.
it represents, and how are you going to use the music to
Mhm.
bring that out? Same thing for documentary. What do I shoot first? how do I open the film? What do the credits look like? Right? What is the music? What can I use to bring something up to show the emotion?
Absolutely the same thing.
Same thing, right?
You know, I think that the bottom line is that whatever we do, we have to lose ourselves in it. You know, instead of trying to watch the ego from any kind of angle,
Yeah.
we have to be lost and kind of you know, be in it like fully.
Yeah.
And that's when we can really create or do something or step ahead, or you know, develop or
Yeah.
mature.
Like
You
commitment,
know.
right? Like a serious commitment.
Yeah,
You're
but
committing
after a while
yourself.
it's joy. So the I think the joy drives it, because if it
It
was
should.
always commitment and dryness and toughness, who would do it? My goodness. Oh my God.
Okay,
But the
joy. We'll
joy,
go with joy. Joy. We'll go with joy.
you know,
Well, look.
all that catharsis, what you have after you pushed yourself and tortured yourself and you went through the whole thing, and something happened, something beautiful and easy and joyful, and you say, oh my God, it was worth it. And then next time you struggle, you can only remember the beautiful thing that brings you forward. You know.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, look, I'm going to let you go. We've talked for an hour and a half. It doesn't feel like an hour and a half. I hope you guys really enjoyed, you know, listening. I think the long format, you know, you're going to get all kinds of good things when you're just talking right now. And I hope, look, we have to do it again. I hope to see you in person at some point, closer than 6 feet apart, right? I mean, let's just, like, you know, put our brains together, focus on.
To find a way. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to make that happen. We got to make that happen, right? So that we're in the same place, less than 6 feet apart. And
can't wait. I look forward to it. Really, really awesome. And you know, you are a person, tell you the truth, very easy to talk to. Like you just, for me, it feels great. And you know, you have just, I think that's the best way to say you. Just so easy to talk to. It's true joy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And look, I appreciate, keep doing what you're doing. Keep being authentic, presenting your ideas and all the, you know, as I look on Facebook and say, what's she doing? What's she doing? This is fantastic. I would like to see that film with you and the guy. I would like to see that. Where would I see that? Is it available?
I'll send you the link. It's still in festivals, and you cannot share it anywhere if it's in festivals.
Okay. And so you're going to keep going. You keep pushing that,
And I will send you also the Gypsy anthem. So
yes, I would like to hear that.
That's very flamenco-ish.
Yeah. They're
hear your opinion.
Anyway, all right. Well, look, I will let you go. Thank you very much. I'll be in touch with you. And have a great evening, right?
Absolutely. It was a true pleasure talking with you, and you are very inspiring and easy to talk to.
Okay. All right. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, David.
Good night.
Good night.